Deep inside each of us resides a voice, often unheard but powerfully felt. This is our inner critic, a constant companion shaping our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It whispers doubts, amplifies insecurities, and judges our every move. The inner critic's impact is profound. It can fuel anxiety, erode self-esteem, and sabotage our relationships. Understanding this inner voice is crucial for navigating the complexities of our inner world. Recognizing the inner critic's grip is the first step towards self-awareness. It allows us to separate our true selves from the negative narratives it perpetuates. By acknowledging its presence, we begin to reclaim our power and rewrite the script of our lives. The roots of the inner critic often lie in our childhood experiences. Early messages from caregivers, peers, and society shape our sense of self. Critical remarks, comparisons, and conditional love can leave lasting imprints on our developing minds. For example, a child repeatedly told they are not good enough may internalize this message. As adults, these internalized messages resurface as the relentless voice of the inner critic. Early experiences create the foundation upon which our inner critic builds its repertoire of negative thoughts. Understanding these origins is crucial for challenging and reframing the inner critic's pronouncements. By recognizing their roots, we can begin to dismantle their hold on our present lives. While the inner critic is a universal experience, its manifestations vary across cultures. Cultural norms and values influence the specific criticisms we internalize. In collectivist cultures, for instance, the inner critic may focus on fears of shaming the family or not meeting societal expectations. Individualistic cultures may see the inner critic emphasize themes of personal achievement and self-reliance. Despite cultural nuances, the core function of the inner critic remains consistent. To protect us from perceived threats, it seeks to shield us from criticism, rejection, and failure, even if it means holding us back. Recognizing these cultural influences provides valuable context for understanding the inner critic's voice. By acknowledging its cultural dimensions, we can better address its specific manifestations. Mental health and relationships, the inner critic's heavy hand. The inner critic plays a significant role in mental health and relationships. It is that persistent voice inside our heads that often tells us we are not good enough, smart enough, or worthy of love and respect. This voice can be so ingrained that we may not even realize how much it influences our thoughts and behaviors. Its relentless negativity can contribute to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. When we constantly criticize ourselves, it becomes difficult to maintain a positive outlook on life. This negative self-talk can lead to a downward spiral where we feel trapped in our own minds, unable to escape the harsh judgments we impose on ourselves. In relationships, the inner critic can sabotage intimacy and connection. It can make us overly critical of our partners, leading to unnecessary conflicts and misunderstandings. We may project our insecurities onto them, expecting them to validate us in ways that are unrealistic and unfair. It fuels self-doubt, fear of vulnerability, and projections of our insecurities onto our partners. This can create a barrier to genuine connection as we are too focused on our own perceived flaws to truly engage with our loved ones. The fear of being judged or rejected can prevent us from opening up and sharing our true selves. For example, someone with an active inner critic may avoid close relationships for fear of rejection. They might believe that they are not worthy of love and therefore distance themselves from others to avoid the pain of potential rejection. This isolation can lead to loneliness and further exacerbate feelings of inadequacy, or they may constantly seek reassurance from their partner, driven by a deep-seated need for validation. This can place a strain on the relationship as the partner may feel overwhelmed by the constant need to provide reassurance. It can also create a cycle of dependency where the individual relies on external validation to feel good about themselves. Recognizing the inner critic's influence is crucial for fostering healthy relationships and mental well-being. By becoming aware of this negative voice, we can begin to challenge and change the harmful beliefs it perpetuates. This process often involves self-reflection, therapy, and support from loved ones. By addressing its negative impact, we can create space for authentic connection and personal fulfillment. When we silence the inner critic, we allow ourselves to be more present and engaged in our relationships. This opens the door to deeper intimacy, mutual respect, and a more fulfilling life. Stumbling blocks on the path to growth. How the inner critic holds us back. The inner critic can be a formidable obstacle to personal growth. It often appears as a voice in our heads that questions our abilities and decisions, making us second-guess ourselves at every turn. It thrives on self-doubt, fear of failure, and resistance to change. This internal voice can be relentless, constantly reminding us of past mistakes and convincing us that we are not capable of achieving our goals. When we try to step outside our comfort zones, the inner critic emerges with a vengeance. It tells us that we are not ready, that we will fail, and that it is safer to stay where we are. It whispers doubts, amplifies fears, and urges us to retreat to the familiar. This voice can be so convincing that we often listen to it without question, believing that it is protecting us from harm. This resistance to change can manifest in various ways. We might find ourselves stuck in a rut, unable to move forward because we are too afraid to take the first step. We may procrastinate on pursuing our goals, sabotage our progress, or settle for less than we deserve. The inner critic can make us feel like we are not worthy of success, leading us to give up before we even start. Overcoming the inner critic's grip is essential for embracing new challenges and realizing our full potential. It requires us to recognize this voice for what it is, a manifestation of our fears and insecurities, and to challenge its validity. By challenging its limiting beliefs, we can unlock our capacity for growth and transformation. This process involves self-reflection, mindfulness, and a commitment to personal development. It is not easy, but with persistence and determination, we can silence the inner critic and move forward with confidence. Strategies for taming the inner critic. Therapists play a vital role in helping clients understand and manage their inner critics. By providing a safe and supportive space, therapists can equip clients with tools to challenge negative self-talk and cultivate self-compassion. One effective strategy is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT helps clients identify and challenge distorted thought patterns, replacing them with more balanced and realistic ones. Mindfulness practices such as meditation and yoga can also be beneficial. These practices cultivate present moment awareness, reducing the grip of the inner critic's ruminations. Embracing imperfection, the power of befriending your inner critic. In this chapter, we delve into the transformative journey of turning our inner critic from a harsh adversary into a compassionate ally. While silencing the inner critic may seem like the ultimate goal, a more compassionate approach involves befriending it. This process begins with recognizing that the inner critic is a part of us, often rooted in past experiences and fears. This means acknowledging its presence without judgment and understanding its origins. By tracing back to the moments that gave birth to this critical voice, we can start to see it not as an enemy, but as a misguided protector. Instead of engaging in a constant battle, we can choose to observe the inner critic's commentary with curiosity. What triggers its negativity? What are the specific situations or thoughts that amplify its voice? What unmet needs might it be reflecting? Often, the inner critic is a manifestation of our deepest insecurities and unfulfilled desires. By identifying these, we can address the root causes rather than just the symptoms. By approaching the inner critic with compassion, we can begin to unravel its hold on our sense of self. This involves practicing self-kindness and understanding that everyone has flaws and makes mistakes. We can learn to differentiate between its distorted narratives and our true worth. This discernment allows us to challenge the negative self-talk and replace it with affirmations of our inherent value. Ultimately, the journey is not about eradicating the inner critic entirely, but rather transforming its relationship with ourselves. It's about shifting from a place of self-criticism to one of self-compassion. It's about embracing our imperfections, cultivating self-compassion, and living authentically. By doing so, we create a more harmonious inner dialogue, paving the way for personal growth and a deeper sense of peace. Remember, befriending your inner critic is a continuous process. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to look inward. But the rewards are profound: a kinder relationship with yourself and a more fulfilling life. So take a moment today to listen to your inner critic with compassion. Understand its fears, acknowledge its concerns, and gently remind it that you are worthy of love and acceptance just as you are. In doing so, you not only transform your inner world, but also radiate a sense of calm and confidence that positively impacts those around you. Embrace this journey of self-discovery and watch as your life blossoms in unexpected and beautiful ways.